Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Becky Brown.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. You may not see me, but you can hear me, and I am joined today by Dr. Alice Benton and Marc Cameron, and we are so grateful to have our great co-hosts. They are so smart, and they always bring such wisdom, and we are so grateful for what they have to share. And today, I want to hear from you, Alice. What do you have to share with us today?
Well, Becky and Marc, there is a challenge out there to consider switching to a flip phone from your smartphone and to try it for 30 days. And an author recently wrote an article. She did this. She wrote it for the New York Times, I believe. And she was talking about how inconvenient it was to go back to a flip phone. And she was realizing all the things she lost easy access to. She could still access them on computer, but couldn't access it on her phone any longer. And it got me thinking, and it got my family talking about whether or not we would be willing to take on that challenge. Because with the smartphone, we've gained fabulous convenience. And yet we pay the price of making ourselves very vulnerable to screen addiction. And about 3 in 4 adults is teetering on the edge of screen addiction, if not actually fitting all the symptoms of it. That we pay a price in relationship. Research shows that spouses and children feel unimportant when we have a phone with us, even with us not necessarily using it, let alone when we're stuck scrolling. Our children feel like the phone is more important to us than they are, and there could be a lot of truth to that. And on the spiritual side, a phone can so easily become an idol without realizing it, but it becomes our taskmaster that we respond to more times a day than we connect with God, and it takes the position of even highest power and authority in our lives. So I'm curious what your answers would be. Would you be willing to switch to a flip phone for a month?
Wow, I think that would be just so challenging. Not in a bad way, but you're right. There's a lot of convenience that comes with having that phone. If you need to just quickly look something up, you can just get to your browser. But then at the same time, how many times do we use our browser when we don't really need to use it, and could we wait? And I think it's just, it's such an interesting challenge. I'm going to have to see if I could even do that here, because I don't think I even have a flip phone. But I think it's a great way also, though, what you're saying here is to introduce kids to phones that way. I did that with my kids. They didn't end up getting a phone until the second half of their junior year of high school. And we gave them flip phones in that moment. And that was just to help them understand that phones are really more about for communication rather than distraction.
Who would have ever thought that we would be talking about flip phones as an option in this day of so many things that are smart? But actually, Alice, to your point, the government actually uses flip phones because they don't have internet. And so, not the whole government, obviously, but, there's a lot of people that have found that is, of use. I think that the challenge is, what are we willing to do, right? That is the big question.
Well, and even just folks listening, to have this conversation with your family, because it's a good way to find out how tight is our grip on our phone. Can we even discuss this as a family, or does it bring an eruption in emotion because we all have such propriety, we have such a possessiveness about our phones? So we challenge you to bring this question to your family as well.
Yeah, I think a great way is to have times of abstinence from your phone, putting it down at dinner time, putting it down at maybe family time and connecting. That's a great way to see how attached you are to your phone.
Well, we're attached to you. I hope that you continue to listen to us, and we are so grateful that you are here with us. We're going to take your calls right after this. We've got some lined up, and, we're here for you if you need something. We want you to be healthy, wealthy, well, maybe wealthy. I don't know. Wise for sure. We'll be right back.
We went to the intimacy of marriage in 2019. We were both done.
This is Steve Arterburn. Do you feel like your marriage is done? New Life can help. We believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life. Our Intimacy in Marriage workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy.
The next Intimacy in Marriage Intensive is February 16th to the 18th in Orange County, California. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more or go to newlife.com. 1-800-639-5433.
Don't settle for a miserable marriage or even one that's just okay. It's possible to experience a new level of intimacy and have a great marriage.
The transformation, phenomenal, and it's transformed our lives so much.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are going to continue to take your calls. We're going to go right to the calls right now. We're going to start with Ann, who's calling us from Denver, Colorado. Listens on KGFT. Hello, Ann. How can we help you today?
Hi, it's good to talk to all of you. And I'm hoping maybe you can help me think of my question maybe from a different angle that I am not seeing. Very quickly, I began homeschooling my children in 1999, and I made the decision because I was jealous for them. I wanted them to know God's word. I wanted them to be steeped in his word in all subjects. And my oldest two children are now out and into their careers. My youngest and last is a 13-year-old son, and he has requested to not be homeschooled anymore. And he would like to go to a public charter school. I am having a hard time reconciling being a Christian woman. I have a degree in teaching, and releasing him into the world, so to speak. I feel very guilty when I hear scripture about we're to be separate from the world, we're not to be conformed to it. So when he's requesting to go to this school, I'm just really struggling with guilt over not keeping him home to homeschool him. And I can't get out of my own head about it. So I guess my question is, is it acceptable as a Christian woman who can teach her children to release them into the public school system?
And tell us about your 13-year-old son here. If you were to kind of describe him in kind of a way of, what kind of head on his shoulders does he have? Is he somebody who could be in the world but not of the world?
Yes, I believe he could be. He plays ice hockey pretty competitively, and he's around young men who are not Christians, and he, as close as we can observe, has always come out of it being a leader within the group, not a follower, has a pretty good head on his shoulders for a 13-year-old boy. So I think he could withstand peer pressure, and I think he can look at situations and say, that's wrong, I'm not going to be a part of that.
And what's your husband's opinion of his request?
My husband thinks it's good for a 13-year-old son to want to be out from his mother's wing a bit. And I agree with that in some ways too, because he has started holding me at arm's length. He wants to be in control of how he studies, responsible for his own work. He wants his father to look at it, just those kinds of things.
Yeah, it sounds like you've actually done a really good job laying a strong foundation for him, Anne. I totally understand kind of the ambivalence of especially since you've homeschooled him for so long, and what we see happening out in the world with schools, do I want to send him out to public school? I would say, though, in terms of public school, a charter school is probably the best option for a public school. But your son's also, he's at this age, he's 13 years old. And he's going through neural pruning right now, which means his brain is starting to get rid of information that it doesn't think that it needs to make room for new information to happen. And right around this age, this beginning of adolescence, that's when they start to naturally separate from us as parents. So it's not necessarily a rejection of you. It's just part of the way God's designed us to be able to eventually learn how to leave and cleave and become independent. And so I think every kid is different. And so I think this answer would be different for different kids. But what I'm hearing you tell us about your son is that he's a leader. He's not easily influenced. He's got a good head on his shoulders. And I do think that socialization is a key part of development. And what I would say is if you do decide to do this, I would get his opinion, talk to him about the pros and cons, talk to him about what you are concerned about. This is a way to develop the prefrontal cortex too, is to say to your kids, okay, if you were in this situation, what would you do? It's a great way to connect with your kids and also a great way to help them learn how to develop. And I think if he's got that good foundation and you talk to him regularly, I think you might be able to slowly introduce him to a public charter school and get him used to, right? The call for us as Christians is to be able to go into the world and evangelize and tell people about Jesus. So we're called not to be of the world, but we are called to be in the world.
And along those same lines, though, too, and maybe you're going to say this, Alice, but I think, how do we help Anne with the feelings that comes with this decision?
There is a lot of guilt and fear that gets bubbled up in you, Anne, and understandably so. I can really relate, actually. I come from a homeschooling, private school background. I thought I was going to do the same with my children, and yet my husband and I have come to our children being in public school, and it's also my husband's preference for that to be the case for our children. And so I had to go through a lot of prayer, a lot of talking about it to figure out, etsically, is this okay? And the way I manage my fear of what will they be exposed to in public school, because there is a high risk of that. It's quite likely, in fact. So I certainly need to be comforted in my fear and my anxiety and my sense of guilt. And so processing that through with your husband, if he's understanding of you, will be necessary on an ongoing basis. And with other girlfriends who get it. But I've also gone to my children's teachers every year to get a sense of their stance on what they'll be bringing into the classroom, whether it's teaching on sexuality, on identity, on politics. How will they use that in the classroom? And so we've let our children know we're kind of experimenting. We're going to see how this goes. And if we decide that public school is not the place for you, if you're not doing well there, then we'll reconsider. And we might go for a private school or for homeschooling. So it's okay to do it on a trial basis as well.
And
I love that.
And for you, Anne, here too, this also could be a spark for you to maybe start to do some of your own growth work with a counselor to talk about, where do those guilt feelings come from? Where do my fear feelings come from? Because I have a suspicion that there's kind of a root to those things. And using this situation like this can often be a way in to be able to start to explore those areas so that you can allow your son to go and explore and still have a level of healthy hesitation about it, but just where you're not feeling just so ambivalent on the inside.
So on that path, be wondering, you don't need to tell us, but be wondering, who is the person I would be displeasing, maybe somebody from my past, if I was no longer homeschooling? Who would be upset with me? It might be that you think God would, but I think there's probably a person who also had a strong opinion, strong influence on you.
I think that's very helpful, and it's funny because wouldn't it be easier for us to just go, well, Anne, this is what you need to do, but the hard part is to really work through all those feelings, and it is a grieving process as well that you'll be experiencing. But I think what we've said is helpful. I'm going to send you a copy of How We Love Our Kids, and I think that will be a great next step for you. We're so grateful that you called, Anne, and I hope that something we said was helpful. We are going to continue taking calls. We're going to talk with Yvonne, who's calling us from Dallas, listens and watches on YouTube. And we're so glad you're there. Yvonne, how can we help you today?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, thank you for taking my call. I have an adult daughter. She's 24, and I've been a single parent since she was 2. And she's, I would have to say I will say I was overprotective, afraid of making mistakes as a single mom. And my daughter was on a pretty good path until she turned about 16, and then she started experimenting with marijuana, and she was open with me about it because she wanted to tell me the good experience of it, and even wanted me to try it with her. And I went into freak out mode and called different places that would teach her about marijuana, drugs, things like that. So as a 17-year-old, I took her to a one of those inpatient or outpatient places, and she went through kind of like a rehab thing for a few months, but she didn't want to go, thought it was ridiculous. Well, 6 months down the road, the drugs started escalating. She has technically died 8 times.
Wow.
Yeah, and maybe more than that. That's just all that I know of. She's had multiple car accidents that she could have died from. She's had health issues from those things.
Yvonne.
And yes.
Has your daughter been through some kind of trauma in her childhood?
In her I was divorced when she was 2, and her dad has been in her life the whole time. There's not a trauma that I know of other than that as a child, but I know she has had trauma, lots of trauma as a young adult, just due to all these situations and the drug use and being around wrong people and wrong relationships and things like that.
So Yvonne, where are you now? Like what?
Yeah, I haven't even got to the main thing.
Okay. So what is the main thing, and how can we help you the best?
Yes. Okay. So I learned about Al-Anon. So I've been going to Al-Anon and learning how to not try to control everything, fix everything. So my daughter was living with me when she had health issues for about 1.5 years, and the rule was, you can't do the drugs and all of that. And so I did drug test her, and she did test positive, and so I did tell her, you either need to go to rehab or you're going to have to find somewhere else to live. And I didn't even think that she wouldn't go to rehab. That wasn't even a thought in my mind. And she said that she wouldn't go to rehab. So she left, and she's been living with friends. So I haven't seen her for a couple of months, and I saw her on Friday, and she's definitely pregnant. And but she's not acknowledging it. I didn't say anything when I saw her. I took her to have a physical on Friday. That's why I saw her. And the doctor pressed around on her stomach and was like, your stomach's very hard. It's very hard. And she said some other reasons why it could be hard, but so I'm just not wanting to be my controlling usual, try to fix itself.
Well, but here's the thing, Yvonne, the doctor actually, it's real tricky because she's 24, so, she's not a minor anymore, but it is his responsibility as a medical professional. If she is pregnant, she needs to know that, not only just for her, but for the baby. And I don't know if you're ready to have that conversation with her about, like, look, this is serious. Whatever you're going to do with your life is your choice, but we need to get some help in place. You can hear the music, Yvonne. We're going to come back to you after the break, but I just want to know, is there a specific question that you want us to be thinking about in the break?
I guess that is the question, since the doctor didn't acknowledge it either. What do do I confront it?
Yeah.
Do I
Well, you need to get the answer.
Did the doctor not give her a pregnancy test?
No.
That's surprising.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Yvonne, we'll talk about this during the break, but it is really a tough situation, but you have done really well with the boundaries. It's hard when people make poor choices for themselves. We'll be right back after this.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hid with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I would up getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Dr. Heidi Summers on coaching.
A lot of people don't understand the difference between counseling and coaching. Coaches can help you with strategizing. Not everyone is in a crisis or recovering from a trauma. A lot of people just need help getting to where they want to be, and they don't know how to do that. And so it's helpful to have a third party come in to give objective feedback, set goals, create accountability, and help you walk out what your goals actually are.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches are intended to help you live in the present and goal set toward what it is you want for the future.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. If it's not one thing, it's 20 others. And Yvonne, you have done your very best to do what you could as a single mom raising your daughter. And yet she has made some decisions that are impacting her life even yet today. And now you're kind of stuck. You feel like you're in a kind of a cul-de-sac of decisions. It's like, how do I help her? And yet the people that I've been trying to get to help me are not helping me. Marc, let's start with you. How can we help Yvonne in this situation?
Yeah, tell me the question again. I think I missed it.
What can she do?
And do I confront about the pregnancy?
Oh, do you confront her about the pregnancy?
Yeah. Do I say anything, or do I, because that's been my pattern always in the past, or do I just let her come to me and finally say, hey, Mom, I'm pregnant? I don't know.
Well, I think you probably should follow up about it. I mean, you were there in the doctor's office with her, and the doctor said that. So it's not like it's a secret that you might suspect that she could be pregnant. And I mean, this obviously changes things, a little bit here, right? Because oftentimes we need to allow somebody to get to their crisis, as Alice put it last show. But now there's possibly a baby here, and so you've got your grandchild to think about here. So I would prompt with a question. I think you probably know the level of communication that you have when maybe you could be like you're using the word here, controlling or too pushy, but I definitely would prompt about it and say, hey, were you able to do a pregnancy test? Because it's going to be important for both of you to know that, especially if she's continuing to put drugs into her body, that could significantly impact a growing baby.
And I would have you add, Yvonne, this is probably really scary to face. And I might be avoiding it too if I were in your shoes. But it's so likely, looking at the shape of your body, looking at your belly, that you are pregnant. Would you take a test? I've got some here. I'd be prepared and I'd have them if she'd be willing to. And then let her know, if she is willing to, how you would then support her. Would you be willing to take her back to the doctor? Would you be willing to help her get into another rehab like you did before? But I'll also add that there are alcohol-related complications that can lead to a pregnant-looking belly. And I don't know if the doctor was wondering that too, but it can look exactly like pregnancy, but be related to liver dysfunction. And so that's a possibility.
Well, I just want to say to you all, I do know that she is pregnant because I was able to do a pregnancy test without her knowing it, because she left some urine in the toilet. Not to be, give too much over the air here, TMI, but immediately it showed that she was pregnant. And I had an intuition as a mom a few months ago and asked her to take pregnancy test in. When did you have your last period? My normal way of doing things. And she's like, oh, I just had my period. And no, Mom, I'm not taking a pregnancy test. And
so, Yvonne, if she's in denial, I think you probably are going to have to reveal that information that you just shared with us here and say, I did this.
Right.
And it showed that there was it is a positive test showing. So I think you would have to, if your daughter's trying to live in denial, I think you're going to have to reveal that. And like Alice is saying, have that conversation and talk to her about how you can support her, because this may even be kind of the impetus for her to really kind of start to break some of that addiction.
And Yvonne, consider letting us connect you with our interventionist, because if she's already so likely to deny, to continue to use and affect the life of this baby, it may take more than just this one conversation. And having a professional on board, gathering the family or friends that are available and are for her sobriety to do this with you if the first attempt doesn't work, because now it's not just her life, which you've been worried about all along, it's both lives, and the baby will be deeply impacted by her substance use.
I agree. We're going to get you connected to that interventionist. Great idea, Alice. I also want to send you a copy of Understanding and Loving a Person with Chemical Dependency. I don't know if that's the right title, but I know that that's what the idea of the book is. And it's just, I know you're already doing your work with Al-Anon, which is great, but we just want to continue to give you that support. And we'll be praying for this situation and hope for a great outcome, Yvonne. We're going to go back to the call. And we're going to talk with Beverly, who's calling us from San Francisco, listens on Sirius XM. Hello, Beverly. Thanks for calling. How can we help you today?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. I feel like I have an unhealthy attachment to my ex-husband. We've been divorced for 15 years, but we still stay in contact with each other. And it's kind of confusing for me, because I don't know how to set boundaries. And when I do set boundaries, I end up abandoning those boundaries. And I'm tired of being caught in a vicious cycle. I want to help myself, and I don't know the first step to take.
What's your level of interaction with your ex-husband? Is it just by phone? How is it?
Yes, it's just by phone. We text each other.
Okay. Well, Beverly, you can hear the music. Don't hang up.
Yes. Okay.
We'll get back with you after this, but that is perplexing. You made the big decision to divorce, yet there's this contact. And one more question before we go to the break. Do you have children together that you share events with?
No,
no
we don't.
Children. Okay. And how long were you married?
Almost 7 years.
Okay. All right. I think that'll help us get a little bit of clarity, but that is a challenging thing, but I'm sure that Alice and Marc, in their wisdom, will be able to shed some light. We are looking forward to it. Thank you, Beverly. Hold on. We'll be right back after this break.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
I'm Steve Arterburn with a New Life Moment. Are you living a life of if-onlys? If only I'd made a better decision. If only I had been brought up in a better family. If only I had spent more time with the children. Sometimes this if-only thinking is projected onto others. If only you hadn't been so stupid. If only you had made more money. If only you hadn't failed to understand our child. If only thinking takes all of a person's energy and emotions and uselessly spends that energy on a destructive rehash of the past. Through the dank marshes of what might have been, this focus is so all-consuming that it leaves you without strength or motivation to resolve the past and move on to achieve your future. A future full of possibilities that God puts before you, that He wants you to take hold of. Would you like some helpful steps for letting go of your past? Visit newlife.com. I'm Steve Arterburn, and thanks for listening to this New Life Moment.
Wow, even when he's not in the studio, he is right on time with that timely moment as we're talking to you, Beverly, and talking about taking those next steps. Let's go, Alice, let's start with you. Beverly, in this real challenge.
Beverly, would you tell us why did you and your ex-husband divorce?
Well, it wasn't my choice. He divorced me. The marriage was shaky. We didn't have a strong foundation to begin with, so it was kind of shaky already. About a year or two into the marriage, some things started. I started having dreams about things that had happened to me that I didn't remember had happened to me. And I tried to talk to him about it, and I saw it crumbling. I saw the foundation that was already not strong. I saw it just come apart at the seams. Even when I tried to tell him what I thought had happened to me, I didn't get any compassion. It was just, I think by then he was just kind of like done with my attitude, the flip-flopping, the not trusting, the accusing all the time. And I get it. I understand that because I did all those things. I take responsibility for that. But even when I told him that I needed some help, that we could try to work it out, He didn't even want to do that. We went to a counselor that was a pastor. He was so puffed up in those counseling sessions. The pastor had to ask him, why are you here? If this is not what you want, why are you here? And he admitted that he was there for me. He wasn't there for us or to try to fix anything. And I've never really been able to come to terms with that or make peace with it. When I think that I have, something kind of like comes back up in my memory, and I just start reliving all the bad stuff all over again.
And Beverly, some of the bad stuff and the dreams you had was about childhood history, not just what happened in your marriage? Okay. And did you continue to receive professional help even after that pastoral counseling?
No, I didn't. Okay. I stopped.
And have you and your ex-husband considered getting remarried? Has that at all been an interest for you both?
We've talked about it, and to be honest with you, sometimes I think that I do, and then I'll flip back. I'll start thinking about how things were, and then I'll say, no, I don't want to do that again. So,
Beverly, what are you talking about with your husband when you are connecting with him?
Just he'll text to check on me to see how my day was, and then he'll tell me how his was. He works 24/7. It's like nonstop.
So
it's just like.
So what?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What does that relationship provide you? What void is it filling for you? Is it filling a void of loneliness? What do you think it's filling for you? It's filling something.
I am lonely, and I think it's kind of like. It's kind of like he's still in my life, even though we're not married. It's like he's still there because he's always told me that he would always be there for me no matter what, if you need anything. And we don't even live in the same city, but we're in driving distance of each other. He says, if you need anything, I'm there. And I do believe that. But I don't understand why. I don't understand why he would be there.
I'm going to ask you one more question here before I give you an answer. What do you fear with letting go?
That it'll just be done. That it will be completely over.
So here's what I think, Beverly. I think there's probably a wound for you in your past where it's been hard for you to let go. And maybe that's been a parent or someone else for you where that person was completely gone from your life. And so clearly there's some codependency happening with you right now. When I say that, is any of that true for you?
Yes, my father was an alcoholic.
So this relationship is reminding you of that relationship with your dad, that where it was difficult to see it decline or difficult to see it let go. And you guys you're at this point where you're divorced, but you're continuing to have, it's almost like a distant marriage together. Yes. And you're preventing each other from moving on. And I wonder for you here, Beverly, if you get into a group, if you learn how to fill some of that void of loneliness, if you get into counseling and you start to work on some of those deep wounds with your dad, if you'll start to progress to be able to let this relationship go, because there comes a point where we do need to have healthy detachment in relationships and learn how to let go. And that's a part of our own growth and being an adult.
That's such a great idea though, Marc, because Beverly, you're trying to battle this on your own. And you can't, that's just not going to happen. And it's not because you're not doing it right or you're not doing it enough in the right way. It's because it's a vacuum that has been created. And if he works all the time, he doesn't have community either. And so you both are kind of filling that void with each other. And so I think step one could be you join us at the Emotional Freedom online workshop in March. That would be good. We can connect you with a life recovery group that will provide a space for you to connect with people, but also just kind of uncover those attachments and the attachment wounds. And, trauma recovery is a big part of our healing journey. And I'm pretty sure that this is what you're in need of. And so if we can connect you with a counselor to really do some of that healing work, I think it can be just life-changing for you, Beverly. Alice?
Okay. And it may be that there is a future for you and your ex-husband. I've seen other marriages come back together again, but it can only come back in a healthy way if you get clarity about what's happening inside of you. And if reality with your father was intolerable, then to survive it, you learned to avoid reality. And you still, I think, have that fallback tendency. And so cleaning up with some deep work will help you even know, do I want relationship with my ex-husband? Do I want to get remarried or not? But I certainly wouldn't recommend it without both of you doing a lot of individual work first so that you know what you want.
But I do still think you'll still have to detach from the healthy pattern before you can attach to a healthy pattern.
I agree.
And so my recommendation for you, Beverly, too, in doing all of this is to also try and step down some of your communication. If you're talking to him every day, try and talk to him every other day, or try and talk to him a couple of times a week. See what happens on the inside for you. See what that tension feels like. And it's also a way to help yourself start to build some tolerance to not connecting with him.
Uncomfortable emotions are God's design to point us to problems that need our attention. And yet we're all hesitant to feel them. Me too, Beverly. I don't want to feel emotionally uncomfortable, so we distract. But the distraction is a short-term solution that does not fix the problem our emotions are trying to point us to. And we can learn to feel the emotion, to figure out the meaning behind it and what we're supposed to do about it, but we've got to feel it long enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, and again, I just can't impress upon you enough, Beverly, you can't do this alone. So yes, I agree with everything that everybody has said, but when you start to decrease your connection with your ex-husband, you have to increase your connection with other people.
Yes.
And the other people can be everything from a counselor to a group to girlfriends to family that you love and care for. It's not an either or, it is right at the same time, because you're not going to be able to do this by yourself. We're not meant to do that by ourselves, right? I mean, healing occurs in relationship. God not only gave us those feelings to point out the problems, but he gave us people that we can take our problems to and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And that is the way of healing. We're going to send you a copy of Take Your Life Back, Beverly. I think that'll be a good process, but I also want to invite you to the Emotional Freedom Workshop. It's online. We're going to hear from Chris Williams, Steve Arterburn, as well as Dr. Jackie McHarris, and we're going to process what does keep us stuck, not emotionally free, not able to process the feelings that we have, and to take them to people who can help us through them. We're so glad that you called, Beverly, and we'll be praying for you. We'll be right back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family, or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and
it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step towards genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. You know, New Life Live, you know somebody who needs to listen to New Life Live, and you can tell them how to listen either on the podcast or the radio program when it's live. Just let a friend know. You might need to text them the link to either the podcast or the show, but you can know that you will change somebody's life by sharing about New Life. And I just want to encourage you, if you haven't thought about going to Lose It for Life, we are excited to offer that online, as well as what you just heard me talk about with emotional freedom. We want you to be where we are. And so that's why we tell you about these intensives, and hope that it'll help. We're going to go back to the calls. We're going to talk with Linda, who's calls from Chicago, listens on WPEO. Hello, Linda. Thank you so much for waiting. How can we help you today?
Hi, I was calling. I've listened to you guys quite a bit, so I'm prepared with the question, so you don't have to ask me. But I have been married. I was married in 97, so we have 4 kids. I think that's 26 years. In that 26 years, separated several times. Not in my doing, but his. I think he's filed for divorce. Are you still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're having a winter storm here, so the ice is getting bad, so I just want to make sure.
Yikes.
In that time, he's, I think, filed 6 or 7 times and ended up dropping the divorce. This time he hasn't, but I haven't been very, I just let it go. If this is what, he chooses, then that's it. And I think we've been in the divorce proceedings almost 2.5 years now. I think it's getting final. I can't even get an attorney right now because of the funds. I just don't have the money to do it. But I did ask him. I knew about your intimacy in marriage. And I have been praying, honestly, for a year about asking him. I just have been really leaning on God and when the right time is. And I felt like it was the right time to ask him in December, and he said he would think about it. So I went ahead, and he lives at his mom. He goes to his mom's every time we separate. There was one time he got an apartment, but he goes to his mom's, and she welcomes him with open arms.
Are you living together now, Linda?
No. He did come. I did an intern teaching position in Tennessee just to get I need to get a job where I'm actually have retirement and have a good income. And so I went to Tennessee from October to December, and he came and stayed with, we have a almost 25-year-old, a 22-year-old that's in college, and then one that's 19 and a 15-year-old. He came home and stayed home to the house with them while I did my intern teaching position. And then when I came back, he went back to his mom's. But he wants to be friends, but it's hard for me to do that. I can't do that anymore.
Linda,
yes.
In the essence of time, because I don't want to run out before Mark and Alice can answer, I just want to ask, has there been betrayal on his behalf during all of this time together?
Yes.
Okay.
At different times, yes.
And has he done anything damage that he's done through the betrayal?
Excuse me? I missed it. You cut out for a minute.
Has he done anything to repair the betrayal?
Yeah, we've been to counseling off and on. It wasn't anything. I'm not brushing this off, but that hasn't been the biggest part. That wasn't why he left. That was just he's at his mom's and away from the family and not living his life with God. So we have dealt with that, probably not to the extent I would like it dealt with.
So your question here, Linda, is should you ask him to come to intimacy in marriage?
Yeah, and I did.
Yeah.
And he said
he'll think about it.
He's not 100% sure. He said, I still have doubts that I want to go through with this.
Well, so I think it's a great idea for you guys. And here's why I think it's a great idea, because you have 4 kids together. So you guys are tied together for the rest of your life. And
right, and a grandbaby on
right. And so I hear him saying that he wants to be friends, and you saying, well, I don't know if I can be friends with you, but at the very least, you guys are going to need to, for the next few years, co-parent together. And then after that, you're going to have to learn how to get along, even if you're not friends together. And I think what intimacy and marriage can do for you is it can help you understand these underlying patterns that are happening here, right? He's left you several times, 6 or 7 times. He's betrayed you, but he keeps on coming back. And so I think he probably has a vacillated attachment style. And I think if you come to intimacy and marriage, it will help you understand what your attachment styles are, what patterns you guys keep getting stuck in. Because you have a long road ahead. Even if you were to repair your marriage, you still got to go through the betrayal recovery process. But I think at the very least what this can do, it can help you understand what's gone wrong so that you can start to address whatever way you do move forward. How can you move forward and co-parent in a way that the family benefits? Because this has got to be so confusing for all of your kids.
It is, and it has been.
Yeah.
It's been an issue. And I really have tried to draw, it's hard for me. Anyways, my kids don't, at Christmas, they want him there. I think they want him there for all the family get-togethers, and it's extremely difficult for me because I want my marriage to work.
Yeah.
And
but either way, Linda, either way, the clarity is the most important thing that you need to get to right now, divorced or together. Alice, how about you got a couple more minutes? What can you help her with?
I feel pretty scared for you, Linda, honestly. I'm having a lot of reactions over here, listening to all that your husband has put you through and continues to put you through. And so although I also want you to go to intimacy and marriage, and I hope that he'll attend, I'm also thinking about your protection, your legal, your financial protection. And I think you'll have to consider a legal separation, even though I know he's in divorce proceedings with you. But
we've done that.
And are currently legally separated?
Oh, yeah, I have child support and spousal support and everything.
Okay. Oh, I'm so glad that you did that, but sad that you've had to. So the one other consideration I'd give you is having your children in some family therapy sessions with you, because it will probably be so easy for them to kind of punish you or turn their anger, upset, and confusion on you. Yes, because you're the one that's there and you're the safe one.
My girls, they're older now. They're in college. One's already a nurse. One's going to graduate. One's out of school. But
well, and you know what, Linda?
Last year, I attended your emotional freedom thing, and I think just in the last year, my relationship with God has just been so much stronger. When I start that fear and anxiety, I'm not scared. When the fear and anxiety starts to come up, I pray about it. I constantly pray and get on my hands and knees and say, "What do you need me to do? What do you want me to do?" I just wanted some clarity. I'm scared to get his final answer. Okay, I have already filled out the paperwork because there's no way we can go without a scholarship. I've done all that.
Well, you've got a yes from us in pushing through to try, because we've seen miracles happen at that weekend, and especially for your 15-year-old, your 19-year-old, all of them. It is certainly worth the try, but to do it in protecting your heart and bracing yourself, not to yet trust however he shows up at the weekend if he'll go, because all the history of his behavior shows he will abandon, he'll be unfaithful, and he'll do little to nothing in repair work. Hopefully this will be different, but be prepared for more of the same.
Yeah, whenever we get in those kind of relationships, it can be really difficult. Linda, we will do what we can to meet you in the way that you need to be helped to get there. We're going to send you How We Love, the book, and I think that'll help. Marc, thanks so much. Alice, always just so great. We're grateful that you all joined us today. We had some great callers. We'll be praying for all of you, and we'll see you next time.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.